Phoenix Renewal Hour. I am Jill and welcome. Today we are going to do some talking about our sky, what we're going to do with it, and I'm happy you're here. Welcome in, welcome in. Hi, Mohammed, welcome. All right, what is today? It is August 17th. It is Monday. Let me get my sky notes. Here we go. Hi, welcome in. Hey, it is time for our live. I'm glad you're coming in. Welcome, welcome. Come on in, come on in. All right, all right. We're in a new week, in a new time, 5:30 now, going forward, so I can do some self-care after work, get myself to the gym. So appreciate everybody being so cool with switching the time like 30 minutes. That's great. But we're still here every single weekday. If you've been catching us at 5, we pushed it to 5:30. But so tonight we're talking about the one thing that stops more women's growth in their growth period than anything else. The thing that stops women's growth periods more than anything else. So knowing exactly what you need to do and not being able to make yourself do it, right? You've got the science. I've got the science on why that happens and exactly how to fix it. So grab a seat. Make sure you are tapping that screen and liking it and sharing it out. Let's get a lot of people in this room. We've got a great lesson today. So I'm really hoping to get as many people in here as possible. So make sure you are tapping that screen like crazy, sharing this out. We've got a great lesson today about procrastination and what we can do about it and how it's all aligned with astrology, Buddhism, all the things, right? So we're doing all the things we normally do. So make sure you are tapping that screen. If you are visiting from TikTok and like that, boop, 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 boop. I need to be seeing this happening on the screen. And then make sure you're sharing it out. We've got a great lesson on procrastination and how to get past that, because we all have dealt with it in our lives. We all have it, even if we feel that urgency and get stuff done most of the time on our own, we still deal with procrastination. And so let's talk about why that is and what's going on, right? Hello, welcome. Hi, welcome. Hi. Thanks so much for coming in. Make sure you are liking the live, sharing it out. And if you love this kind of content, make sure you are following and subscribing. Hit that bell if you're on YouTube so that you are alerted every time we go live every day at 5:30, Monday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hi, welcome in. Thank you so much. Hello, Bella. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Qasim. Thank you, everybody. Hello, hello. Hi, Chosen. Welcome in. Welcome in. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you are liking and sharing this out. We're going to get started here and go over the lesson today. So, good evening, everybody. I'm Jill. This is your Phoenix Renewal Hour. And today, we're making a small but meaningful shift, right? I moved the time because I was skipping the gym, and I'm not willing to let building this show block me from my self-care. So I am trying, hi Gregory, I am trying very hard to do all the things right in my own life. I'm trying to be a good employee at my job so I can keep my job, and I'm trying to, do all the things for my health, eat right and exercise and build a business of my own, publish books over and over again. Hey, by the way, I have published books sold on Amazon. Click my bio, you'll see those there. We'll talk about them later. But yeah, so I'm doing all the things. So I had to move the show just at least 30 minutes. Thank you, Qasim. Had to move the show at least 30 minutes so I could do a little bit of self-care before coming on here. So anyway, So that's the new normal. And honestly, that decision is a perfect illustration exactly of what we're talking about tonight. So, because I knew for weeks now that I needed to change the time. I knew that. I could clearly see that the current schedule wasn't working, and yet I kept not changing it, right? Kept telling myself I'd figure out another way to fit the gym in. Hi, I'm doing well. How are you? Welcome in. Kept making the same choice, even though I could see the consequences. Getting a little chubby around the belly, right? My monkey's getting chubby, right? Because I haven't been doing what I need to be doing for myself, right? It's not a lack of discipline. It's not even laziness. It's a very specific and very well researched psychological phenomenon. And today's astrology has its fingerprints all over it. So we're going to get into it. Hi from Argentina. Welcome in. Make sure you guys are clicking on the screen through the show. Let TikTok know I am bringing you value and share this out. Let's get as many people in the room as possible. Thank you. Bella, thank you. All right, so let's start with today's astrology. Let's get going on that. So Mars squared Neptune this morning at like 2:53 a.m., something like that. And even if you were asleep when it happened, which you probably were, I know I was, you may have been feeling the effects of it all day. So here's what this means in plain language. Mars is the planet of drive, right? Action, forward momentum. Okay. Neptune, on the other hand, is the planet of fog, dreams, disillusion. Okay. Hi, welcome. When they square each other, they create a specific kind of paralysis that feels very different from regular laziness. Okay. So you're not unmotivated in a traditional sense. Okay. The desire is real, the intention is genuine, right? But the actual doing of the thing keeps slipping away. So you start and then you stop. You get distracted by planning instead of doing. You feel like you feel like you might be moving through water, right? One astrologer described it perfectly this morning. Motivation loses its footing. Effort that should be straightforward leaks away. And it's hard to tell tiredness from a simple lack of inspiration, right? Am I really okay? Yeah, I am. I'm busy, but yeah. So, if feeling like you've had kind of a lack of motivation has been your feeling today, it might be because of the Mars Neptune square, right? Um, let's see what else. So, it's a cosmic weather pattern. That's what that's called, by the way. So, it's a cosmic weather pattern that might be affecting your mood. Just like if you live somewhere that rains all the time, you might be kind of in the depression or space, right? Because weather does affect us in our moods. And so even if it's in the sky way above us, that still affects our moods, right? So that's what we're talking about today. So let's see. The last part is important though, because Mercury trined Saturn this morning also at 8:27 a.m. Pacific. Mercury is the thinking mind. Saturn is discipline and structure. A trine means harmony. Okay. So today, your thinking is actually clear and orderly, even while your motivation engine might be running kind of low or slow, right? Hi, Kumar. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you? Um, so we just can't make ourselves do it. We know what we need to do, but we can't make ourselves do it, right? Does that sound familiar? I know I get that way, right? I want you to understand that specific experience, clear thinking, combined with the inability to act, is not a personal failing. What it is, researchers call the intention action gap. And it is one of the most studied phenomenons in all of behavioral psychology. Hi, welcome in. Hi. Well, I'm coming at you from Phoenix for your Phoenix Renewal Hour. Right. Yeah. So the moon also moved into Scorpio today at 2:46 p.m. Scorpio moon pulls attention inward and deep, serious truth seeking. The internal tone becomes heavier. Scorpio doesn't want any surface solutions. It wants the real answer, right? So tonight we're going there. That's what we're doing tonight. And Venus sextiled Jupiter this morning. So much happening in the sky. Venus sextiled Jupiter this morning, which is the grace note of otherwise a foggy day, right? So there is some warmth available today. So it's all about connection, the capacity to be kind to yourself about the fact that today has been hard to navigate. Venus Jupiter is the cosmic reminder that self-compassion is not self-indulgence. It is strategy, right? So let's get into that. The intention action gap, the intention action gap. So that's what we're going to talk about. Here's the problem. I want to name very clearly before we get into the solution, because I think it's important to understand what's actually happening before we try to fix it. Don't you agree? You have to understand the problem before you can fix the problem. That's what I think anyway. Most personal development advice assumes, don't we love it when people assume, that if you know what to do, you just need more motivation, more willpower, more discipline to do it. Wrong. Wrong. So when you don't do the thing you know you should do, the conclusion you draw, and the conclusion the industry often reinforces, is that you're the problem, right? You're just not disciplined enough, not committed enough, not ready enough, right? The research disagrees completely. Dr. Peter Gollwitzer at the New York University has spent over 30 years studying what he calls the intention gap behavior. Intention behavior gap. I read that backwards. Intention behavior gap. The space between intending to do something and then actually doing it. Okay? His finding, replicated across hundreds of different studies, having a strong intention to do something is a remarkably poor predictor of whether you're actually going to do it. No, I don't speak Spanish. Hi, I'm coming from Arizona. It's nice to meet you. So, most people with very strong intentions still fail to act on them. Did you know that? Like, it's very common, like overly common. This is not a character flaw in you or me, okay? This is a design problem. The brain, Gollwitzer found, is not well designed for translating intention into action automatically. The intention lives in the prefrontal cortex, the planning, the reasoning part of the brain. Okay. The behavior is triggered by environmental cues, by what you see, hear, experience in that moment. Okay. The gap between intention and action exists because there's no bridge built between the plan in your head and the cue in your environment that would trigger it. Okay. So when Mars square Neptune, when the will blurs and the motivation lacks, the gap gets wider. Okay. It's going to get wider. The intention is still there, but without a specific environmental trigger, the fog wins out. The fog wins. So Gollwitzer's solution is what he calls implementation intentions. And the research on this is extraordinary. Study after study, people who added implementation intentions to their existing goals were significantly more likely to follow through. In some studies, 2 or 3 times more likely than people who had equally strong goals but no implementation intentions. The formula is really simple. This is what it is. It says, when X happens, I will do Y, right? That's the formula. So not, I want to work on my creative project, but when I sit down at my desk after dinner tonight, I will open the document and write for 20 minutes. Do you see the difference? Not, I'm going to start meditating, but when I pour my morning coffee, I will sit in the chair by the window and breathe for 5 minutes before I do anything else. Right? Thanks, Gregory. Yeah. Then, so how that works is, right, the when then structure. So when then structure does something specific inside the brain. It creates what neurologists call an encoding, a link between a situational cue and a planned response. When the cue appears, the behavior triggers automatically without requiring any willpower or motivation in the moment. The decision has already been made. The environment does the work, right? You've already made the decision and you made it very specific. Not, I want to work on my creative project today. I want to be better at meditating. It's, I'm going to do this at this time, setting up something exact to do because your brain can pick up and understand that, right? All right. So this is why implementation intentions work especially well on days like today when we may not really be feeling it, right? Mars, Neptune, fog days when motivation is unreliable. You're not trying to generate motivation in the moment. You've already encoded the behavior to trigger what will happen regardless of how you feel, right? Let me give you 3 examples of implementation intentions that are specific enough to work. Okay, so pen and paper. You ready? You ready for the deets? All right, here we go. First, if your intention is to journal more consistently, a weak intention sounds like, I'm going to journal every day. An implementation sounds like, an implementation intention sounds like, when I get into bed at night, before I pick up my phone, I will write 3 sentences in my journal. The cue is going to bed. It happens every night. You don't need to feel inspired. You just need to be in bed, which you will be, right? So, second, if your intention is to stop scrolling and start creating, a weak intention might sound like, I'm going to spend less time on social media. Okay, that doesn't sound very strong, right? The implementation intention says, when I open TikTok and 5 minutes have passed, I will close it and open my notes app for 2 minutes. The cue is visible on the clock. 2 minutes is small enough that the brain is not going to resist it. Does that make sense? right? Ready for it all. Woo! Oh, thank you. Thank you, Cheapat. Third, if your intention is to move your body more, a weak intention sounds like, I'm going to exercise more. An implementation intention, when I finish my morning coffee, I will put on my shoes and walk to the end of the street and back. That's it. Because once the shoes are on and you're outside, the behavior usually extends. Okay. But the implementation intention only needs to get you to the door, right? So now here's the second tool that works alongside implementation intentions, especially on a Scorpio moon day, okay? When emotions are so involved. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to pause my little lesson. I got a story. Today has been rough for me, like rough. Like there has been countless things that happened today during the day that were just wrong and should never have happened at in my life, at my job. None of that should have ever happened. I was wrong in some things that came out of my mouth because, sorry, I'm having PMS. I'll tell you that right now. I'm having PMS. And if somebody makes me angry during PMS, I can't help but snap. I can't. And I'm working on that. I'm working on it so bad. But it was to the point where I was so frustrated by the end of my workday that one little comment came and hit me and felt like a huge insult to me after I had been working so hard all day to get everything done for everybody else. Like, honestly. And to have somebody micromanage me at the very end of my day, like I don't already do all this stuff and am already working on it. That was the end. And I couldn't handle it. And I fucking snapped at my boss. And I said some snide little shitty thing. I'm sure it was shitty. And I feel bad about it. And I'm sorry. But my God, today has been emotion city for me. Emotion city. And I can't seem to get over it. And I'm just so grateful that I did an implementation intention today and changed my time for these lives so I could take time for self-care after work today. The intention was to go to the gym directly after work, but I rolled my ankle yesterday and I can't. But I got to have time between work and this to kind of think about all of this and hug myself and feel better. Because God, that sucked. Because I really am very good at my job and I'm really good with everybody. And I look after everybody and I pick up the slack of everybody else all the time, daily. Like that's just who I am. I'm a Virgo rising and I am a workhorse. And to have somebody be so disrespectful to my face was just so unbelievably rude. And I just couldn't take it. So I am not judging you if you're having some emotions today, because I sure am. But this is real and this is who I am, and I want to be my authentic self. And I am. My best. Hi, Carlos. And I'm so grateful to be able to come on here and tell the truth and be authentic. Because it's so hard to be an authentic person when you have to be in an office and be fake all day. Even when you're doing the best you can, and this is not fair or nice, and there's so much chaos where I work. And I don't know what's going on. So I'm working on it. I'm trying so hard. Thank you, Vera. Thanks, Greg. And Gregory, you're a nice man. Thank you. But we have to give ourselves grace. And honestly, like, I'm not upset with the person that disrespected me. They're just doing their job. And I know that they're having a shit time too. Like, shit is chaotic where I'm working right now. And I think everybody's having a really hard time. And that is really why I made this channel, is because I know that so many people are having a hard time, and I do want to help in any way that I can. And so that's what I'm doing. Even though I look crazy crying right now, but like, I don't want people to have to suffer through some of the bullshit that I have had to suffer through. And so that's why I come on here to talk about self development in the way that I understand it, with astrology, Buddhism, and science. And that's why I talk about it here, because I need it for me. And thank you, Gregory. Yeah, yeah. And this, I have a good heart, and I just want to help other people not have to deal with the shit that I have had to deal with. But this my life, I have been paying so much attention this year, 2026, to the astrology like never in my life before, because I have found so many synchronicities in what is happening in the sky and my own life this year, is when I have finally recognized the pattern and seen how true it actually is. Like, I have like evidence. Yes. So I know that it's true because I have experienced it in my life. And so when I think about what my purpose on this earth is and what feels good for me to do, and that's how you find out, is by questioning yourself and trying to figure out, where do you flow in life easily? That's where you need to be to help others. That's where your career should be. And what I find that flows easily for me is self development, and working through all of that and learning more about what's going on in the behavioral health world, and gleaning what I can from those and what works and is true for me, and then sharing it with you. So I really hope that this helps other people. Um, and I am so, so grateful that you're all here, because it speaks volumes to me when on Saturdays on Saturdays I'm a analytical um, Virgo rising, so I love spreadsheets, and I made a spreadsheet a couple weeks ago to track my progress on my business for social media, growing my accounts to get those monetized, growing my library of goods that I create and sell, which is all linked in my bio if you're interested in any of that. But I'm a creator and a teacher by heart, by nature. And so it is my goal to do that here for you for free, live. These are recorded and they post on YouTube every day. So if you do miss one, you can always go back to YouTube and you're going to see these recordings, because I want to give free education for all the stuff I learn. Why not? So that's what I'm here, is just to share the things that I've learned. Thank you, Gregory. I appreciate that. But thank you. Hi. Hi, welcome in. Welcome in. So sorry for my little meltdown, but it was a rough day. And this lesson, it just works so well with what's truly happening in life, not just like some mythical thing that people think astrology is. Some stuff we just do for fun or a hobby. It's not. It real. It's real. And so anyway, um thank you. So that's the whole thing. But I'll get back to how you can stop procrastinating now. And I thank you for letting me talk and talk it out. I've been talking it out for an hour on the phone before coming on here trying to get over it, but obviously I wasn't over it yet. But I just kind of want to recap what we talked about earlier, just in case. So we are talking about procrastination and tools to get through it. And the very first tool I gave you was implementation intentions, which is not just saying, I want to do this, but saying, I'm going to do this at this time in this place, right? The when and the where. And you're going to attach it. Like last week, remember we talked about when we're making a change to attach it to something that you already do, like brush your teeth or go to bed, right? So we talked about that last week. So that this is on top of that. That this works really well with that tool. So the next tool is called the WOOP method. WOOP. This is from Gabrielle. Oh, I don't know if I can say her last name. It's Oettingen. I don't know how to spell that or say that. She's in NYU. She spent decades studying the psychology of positive thinking. Her finding was pretty controversial. Purely positive thinking, imagining success, also imagining obstacles, actually decreases the likelihood of achieving your goal. Decreases. The positive thinking thing decreases the chances of you actually hitting your goal. Did you know that? Hi, humans. I'm in Arizona. So her solution that she found, validated in dozens of clinical trials, is called WOOP. Wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. Okay, so wish. What do you genuinely want? Not what you think you should want, but what do you actually want? Tell me what you want, right? What do you want? Outcome. What is the best possible outcome for you to achieve this wish? Feel it fully and let it be real, right? The second O in WOOP is obstacle. What is the internal obstacle? The thought, the feeling, the habit, most likely to get in your way. Not external obstacles. We're talking about internal obstacles. And then P is plan. When the obstacle appears, what do? This is where the implementation intention connects directly to the WOOP. Your plan is an if then statement. Ugh. Your plan is an if then statement. I can speak. I know words. So if I notice the obstacle, if I feel the fog, the resistance, the I'll do it tomorrow, then I will do a specific small encoded behavior. Okay, so the research on WOOP The research on Whoop shows it significantly outperforms both pure positive thinking and pure obstacle thinking in helping people achieve their goals across health, education, and professional domains. So here's why it works on Mars Neptune days specifically. Hello, welcome. How are you? Hello. All right. All right. Sorry, had something weird going on. So Neptune fog often masquerades as a realistic caution. Maybe I shouldn't start today. The timing isn't right. I'm not sure this is the right approach. I need to think about it more. Whoop's obstacle step forces you to name that fog in advance. So when it shows up in real time, you recognize it for what it is, an internal pattern, not a legitimate reason to wait. So let me walk you through Whoop applied to like a real goal. Okay. So, wish. I want to build consistent income from my creative work so that I can leave my day job by January. That's mine, right? That's my wish. Outcome. I imagine what it feels like to wake up in January without an alarm set by somebody else, to make my first cup of coffee knowing today belongs entirely to me and the work that I am building. I let that feeling be real. Okay, that's the outcome. So the obstacle, my inner obstacle, is the voice that says, this isn't working fast enough when growth feels slow. I spiral into comparison and lose an afternoon to scrolling instead of creating, right? So the plan is if I notice that it's not working fast enough, thought creep into my head, then I will close my phone, open my notes, and write down one thing that is working. One real piece of evidence, just one. That resets the spiral. Okay, that is Whoop, and that is a complete system. And it takes about 5 minutes for you to do. Okay, all right. So I'm using these tools in my own life, right? As we talked about earlier. God. So let's see. I like giving you real world applications. So, all right. So, my wish we talked about be financially free by January 1st so I can move to Minnesota with my family is there and I want to be with them and start building my life that I feel like I am actually supposed to be living. Okay. That's my wish. My outcome. I imagine walking away from the call center job from the last time, driving to from Arizona to Minnesota in January with everything I own, getting onto my sister's property and knowing that I am meant to be there, right? For this to build on this show, build more books, this community, and make it possible, right? So, what is my obstacle, right? On Mars Neptune days, like today, my internal fog sounds like you're not growing fast enough. You don't have enough followers or subscribers, right? You don't know that this is going to work. I don't know that it's going to work, right? But that thought does not help me take the next action step. It freezes me, right? You go, well, what if it doesn't work? So my plan, when that thought shows up, open the analysis and take a look at one real number. This week, I had 99 new followers in 1 week. That's a real number, right? The best growth week for ever, right? Um, So when I finish setting up my equipment, remember we are talking about piggybacking something on something you always do. So every day before my lives, I set up my equipment and then I add that little bit. When I'm putting everything together, I can look in my mirror. Look, I have a mirror right there. So I could set this up and I can, oh, now I got to fuck up. I messed up my thing. We're crooked now. Oh no, I messed up my thing. There it is. Okay. Okay. So what that does is, so I can set up my cameras and look in the mirror and I can say something to myself while I do that to be part of my implementation intention, where I can look in the mirror and go, this is working. I was able to pull in 99 new followers last week. That's growth. That's real growth. When I started going live on TikTok, I was at about 150 followers. And I had been posting every day since January 1st. I've been posting and posting and posting about this book that I wrote called My Journey to Myself, which is 400 journal prompt questions for women during self-discovery and in transformation to help them figure themselves out. Okay. So I did months and months and months of videos only on this to try to sell this, encourage people to buy it because it really does help, right? That's how I got through a lot of my own shit, right? Was asking myself personal questions, deep questions, writing out the answer, really thinking about it. Because we truly don't really know who we are unless we look and ask questions. So, so I had to do something different. So I started going live. I'm like, I'm all about self-development. Let's just talk about self-development. I also, so it went through a lot of different cycles. We were just going to talk about self-development. Well, what if we also did it the way I do it for my own life? Right? Looking at my astrology after the day is over, by the way. I don't ever look in the morning. So it's always a surprise. Yep. No wonder. So I do the little implementation intention as I'm setting up for this show to kind of encourage myself to know that it is working, that it is growing, right? So it took me like 45 seconds to figure out what I wanted to do for my own implementation intention. So I hope that you guys can come up with some stuff too if you find yourself maybe procrastinating on something or having a thought that's not too encouraging about whatever you're trying to build, right? But that's it. That's it. It's so easy. Um, yeah. All right. And so one of the other practices that I do with alongside the astrology and regular personal development research and implementation for myself and just learning new things is Buddhism. I have really taken to it. Um, so today I'm going to give you a little practice that goes along with our lesson today of procrastination. Okay. So the Buddha quoted, to quote the Buddha, the secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn the past or worry about the future, but live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. So, the intention gap is, at its core, a present moment failure. The intention lives in the future, what I want or have to be, right? The obstacle lives in the past, what I've tried before that didn't work, right? What what I fear based on prior experience, right? And neither the future intention nor the past obstacle can trigger a present moment behavior. Okay. So implementation intentions are, in Buddhist terms, a present moment technology. The when then structure pulls the behavior into this current moment, into the actual environmental cue that exists right now. When I pour my coffee, when I sit down at my desk, when I go into bed, all of those are present moment triggers. So the Buddha's teaching on wise and earnest action in the present moment is not just like spiritual philosophy, man. It maps precisely into what Goldwitzer's research discovered 40 years ago on, and he, the only place behavior actually occurs is now, right? In response to what's happening now, not in response to what you planned on or hope for to happen next week or next month or whatever. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Right? All we have is right now in what we do. We can do all the planning, but you don't know what's going to happen in 15 minutes, right? So all we have is right now. And so we need to focus on that and not be so worried about the next 15 minutes or tomorrow or next week, because we have no idea. We can plan as best we can, but we respond in the present based on whatever's happening in our present, right? The Scorpio moon tonight is asking you to get serious about this. So, Scorpio doesn't tolerate comfortable self deception. I'm going to say that again. Comfortable self deception. It asks, what are you going to do? Not what do you intend to do? What are you going to do? Right? What are you going to do specifically? And with the when and where attached, starting this week. So, what are you going to do this week? Attach a when and a where to it to get to your goals, right? Not this someday shit. Not I'm going to do it tomorrow, right? So, that question, asked honestly, is the intersection of Buddhist present moment awareness and behavioral science implementation intention. It is some of the most powerful self development work you can do. And the Venus Jupiter sextile from this morning, that warmth, that grace reminds you to ask these questions with kindness, not as criticisms of the past, as an investment in your future. There is a significant difference between why haven't you done this yet and what specifically will you do next. One, Shane, just just one thing, all right? Because one of them is going to work, right? So let's bring it home. Mars squared Neptune today and created a fog. The lines are blurred. Everything's blurred, even though your thinking is sharp, okay, because of the Mercury bit or the Mars bit too. That experience, knowing what to do and being unable to do it, it's not a character flaw. It is the intention action gap, and it has a solution. Implementation intentions. When X happens, I will do Y. Encode the behavior to a cue that will happen regardless of how you're feeling. Remove motivation from the question. Whoop, wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. Don't just visualize the success. Name an internal obstacle in advance and design your when then response to that, right? When it before it shows up. You got to design it before it shows up. And then when it shows up, then you know what to do, right? And the Buddhist teaching, the only moment behavior occurs is now, in response to what's happening now. Design your life to work with that, not against it, right? Oh, thank you. So, your homework from tonight is design one implementation intention before you go to sleep tonight. Just one. When I blank, I will blank. Just write it down. That's it. One encoded behavior attached to one existing cue. That's how the fog breaks. So that's it. That's it. So come back tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The moon is in Scorpio all day, and we're going into something really powerful, the blind spot. The thing you can't see about yourself that's limiting your growth. And tomorrow we're going to find it. That's the subject tomorrow. Do want to bring up that I am an author and I link all my books in my bio. So if you're interested, I got some. So we talked about my journey to myself, a 400 prompt journal book for women going through transformation, self-development, just trying to answer questions about themselves, looking for some extra income. I made high side hustles for women over 40, also linked in my bio. This is a practical book. It tells you not just the things you can do for like ideas, it tells you how to do them too. It tells you what to do. So this is your income book. So here's your hopes and dreams, and what do you find out what you want, right? What do you even want? What do you want to do? You figure that out with this book, and then you do it with this book and make money with it. And then if you're really interested in this astrology and Buddhist stuff, I wrote another book called the 2027 Phoenix Renewal Almanac. So it talks all about the astrology in 2027 with the Buddhist twist. So we're making it as practical as we can so that we can work our lives and flow with the universe, right? So I've got those tools for you up in my bio. If you're interested in getting any of those books, they're all sold on Amazon. And this is the only one that comes in paperback because I learned that I don't like formatting things. And so everything else is on Kindle. Hi, Jen. So anyways, that's the show. That's it. So your procrastination is this fog in the air. We're in that Scorpio moon full of feelings. We had our tears. We cried and cried and cried together. And I thank you for supporting me through my tears. And yeah, it's just tough. It's tough when we're going through our astrological things, and it's time for deep inner thinking and emotions, and we just got to get through it. And so we're doing it together. So keep coming back. We're going to go into a real fun topic tomorrow. I think you're going to like hearing about, maybe you won't like it. Maybe you'll love it. Learning about your blind spots and how to spot them and what to do with those, because we all have them. But anyway, I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me and supporting me. And I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.